Thank you for staying with us here on THV 11 Plus for Arkansas News Now. I'm Ashley King with meteorologist Nathan Scott, and really the big news right now is the weather and what's going to happen this weekend.
Yeah, it is going to be a big story across the Mid-South, the Deep South, looking at the latest information. We normally don't talk about a winter storm this far in advance because there's still a lot of uncertainty. That's not the case with this event. Model agreement is impressive, and that's why we're going with a high confidence of cold, bitterly cold, dangerously cold air moving in, and that means several days will see temperatures below freezing. Also, this is primarily going to be, I think, a snow event and a sleet event here in central Arkansas. There could be a little bit of freezing rain, but that snow could add up to some significant to heavy amounts. The details still a little sketchy. We don't know exactly where stuff is going to line up, where exactly the band of heavy snow is going to be this far out, and where the snow and sleet line will be located. But we have a THV 11 weather impact alert starting Friday, continuing all the way through Sunday, just because now a winter storm is likely. Hazardous travel, expect that. There is potential there could be some icy trees and power lines if we do see freezing rain. I think the better chance of that will be primarily into south and southeast Arkansas. Today, though, prepare for it. Head to the grocery store because you'll probably be staying home this weekend and you might be stuck at home all the way until at least Monday afternoon. Highs today upper 40s to lower 50s. I'll have more on this potential to likely winter storm affecting Arkansas this weekend coming up.
And voters in the Little Rock School District will see a different looking ballot this year as a new state law reduced the size of the board, leaving just 2 uncontested races, including G Zone 3. The 2 candidates are Kadarius Napper and Salandria Jackson. Jackson has been in the community for years, but says she wants to have a different kind of impact. And while the district continues to lose students, Jackson says the district must promote itself to win families back.
Getting people to understand what we really have, what's really being offered, that is so important to me that we just don't know. And we're going to have to figure out as an organization, how do we get parents involved more?
Jackson also wants to see an emphasis on athletics to build a sense of pride and community. Napper, on the other hand, currently works with juveniles across the state and wants to give teachers the resources they need to help students stay on the right path.
Teachers need resources. Teachers need someone who's going to stick up for them, who's going to advocate for them, who's going to speak up ultimately.
Napper adds that he plans to trim costs by leveraging local groups and also wants vacant schools turned into family resource hubs to boost attendance and support. Early voting starts 4 weeks from today on February 16th. And today marks 1 year since Donald Trump was sworn in as president for a second term. And he and his administration hit the ground running. Brian Abel is in Washington to take us through the big moments from the last 365 days.
The first year of Trump's second term in office has brought many changes to Washington, as well as many extraordinary moments here at the White House. One change is the way that various branches of government interact with each other. President Trump has now a solidly conservative Supreme Court that's ruling on more cases as Trump's attempts at expanding his presidential power like never before are challenged, from his uses of the military like the National Guard, his pressure on universities to cancel diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, and his immigration enforcement efforts. And when we look at armed conflict, the check and balance of the United States Congress, that is being tested like never before as well. The bombing of Iran, the strikes on alleged drug boats, and the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, those are just 3 examples of military operations that did not get approval, consultation, or even a heads up to Congress before they took place. And I'd also highlight another major change in the American political landscape, and that's the way the Department of Justice now operates. Traditionally, there's a separation between the DOJ and the White House, and for Trump's second term, though, they are lockstep with each other, with the White House using the DOJ in extraordinary ways to investigate and attempt to prosecute President Trump's perceived political enemies like James Comey, Letitia James, and even more recently, the Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Then there's some of the extraordinary moments of this presidency. There's the Liberation Day tariffs, the pardoning of nearly all January 6 rioters, the significant immigration enforcement action, the testing of international alliances. You cannot forget the dress down of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in the Oval Office and hosting Russian President Vladimir Putin on U.S. soil in Alaska. And there's the physical changes here in Washington, too, from the demolition of the East Wing of the White House to make way for a new ballroom, to the changes at the Rose Garden and a new name alongside Kennedy at the Performing Arts Center. All of these leading to a remarkable 365 days since President Trump's second inauguration. At the White House, Brian Abel reporting.
More than half a dozen medical groups are suing to reverse changes made to the CDC's childhood vaccine recommendations. Groups including the American Academy of Pediatrics and the American College of Physicians filed the suit on Monday. The Department of Health and Human Services made changes to the vaccine schedule for children earlier this month. The lawsuit calls the changes reckless and dangerous. And today marks 1 year since the largest measles outbreak in the U.S. in decades started in West Texas. Since then, new measles cases have showed up in places across the U.S. every week. Health experts warn the U.S. could lose its measles elimination status that it has held since the year 2000. That will be determined by an international review this spring. There's good news and bad when it comes to seasonal flu activity in the U.S. The latest CDC data shows that while flu cases remain elevated across the country, the amount of activity has decreased or stayed stable for 2 consecutive weeks. But the bad news, deaths linked to flu are trending upward. Mandy Gaither talks to a pediatrician about why children are one of the groups at highest risk and how to protect them.
In the U.S., hospitalizations for flu in children younger than age 18 have the highest peak weekly rate in more than 15 years. And in the latest week of data, there were 15 flu-related pediatric deaths for a total of 32 reported child deaths associated with flu this season. The CDC says 90% of those who died were not fully vaccinated against flu.
Children, especially under the age of 2, they're pretty small. And when they're still small, you get something that's just so inflammatory, like influenza. When it gets into your lungs, it causes a lot of inflammation.
Dr. Frank Esper with Cleveland Clinic Children says the best protection against severe disease is for adults and children 6 months and older to get a flu shot.
By protecting yourself against influenza, you're also protecting everybody in your family.
Washing hands and highly touched surfaces can also help prevent the spread. For young children, especially at preschool, Esper recommends an adult using an alcohol-based rub to remove germs.
Alcohol is actually a better way to clean off their hands than to use soap and water.
If a child is sick, Esper says to keep them home, and you can also consider masking.
We masked up during the first rounds of COVID. We saw flu just drop because everybody was staying away from each other. Everybody was masking when they were out, and flu couldn't get through that.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Still ahead, an Arkansas baker caught the eye of one of country music's biggest legends. We share more about Dolly Parton's special birthday cake after the break.
Good afternoon, Arkansas. Meteorologist Nathan Scott. Get ready for some major changes as we go into the weekend. You got some time to prepare for this winter storm that could produce some big snowfall across the region. Here's what I'm looking at over the next 3 days. Small chance of rain as we go into your Wednesday. I think the best chance will be east of Little Rock, and then that will continue to progress its way to the east throughout the day. 50 the high. We'll see a little more sunshine on Thursday, high of 50, but then the winter weather starts to move in here on Friday, as early as Friday afternoon. By Friday evening, I think we're going to start to see some trouble areas develop with road conditions starting to go down as the temperatures into the upper 30s will be crashing down into the 20s throughout the day. And we do have the Teach, Feel, and Weather Impact Alert starting Friday, continues all the way through Sunday. Weak disturbance moves in here late tonight, increasing clouds. There will be the opportunity of some showers, maybe a sleet pelt, but really no big deal. And then this all starts to move off to the east as we go into Wednesday afternoon. But you notice the temperatures, they climb up into the upper 40s to lower 50s. I talk about model agreement because when we're this far out from a winter weather event, usually there's not a lot of agreement. That's a different case with this situation because your two different weather models both highlight a winter scenario painted across the natural state. The blue, that's where the snow is expected. The pink, that's where we're expecting the potential of sleet or maybe freezing rain. So it's a high confidence now that we are going to see winter weather across most of Arkansas, a medium confidence in North Arkansas and also Southeast Arkansas. The big question is, what type of precipitation do we see? Is it all snow here in Central Arkansas, or is it going to be more of a snow, sleet, maybe a little bit of freezing rain mixed in? If it is all snow, we are looking at the potential of seeing over a foot of snow in some parts of the region. High pressure building its way in here from Canada. That's pumping in that shallow layer of Arctic air. Surface low forming along the Gulf. That's bringing in moisture from the Gulf, and this upper level system will support that surface low, and it will determine on what track it takes. It is going to be bitter cold going into the weekend. We're talking about 50 to 70 hours or more where temperatures will be below freezing starting, I think, later Friday afternoon. And I don't think we're going to get above freezing until possibly Monday afternoon. Long range European, we're going to use the European with this winter storm. As we take a look here, Friday morning, small chance of rain, but as we go through the afternoon into the evening hours, that winter precipitation starts to take over a large part of the state. And look at your temperatures, they're dropping. So the worst of the weather happens Friday night and throughout the day on Saturday. Look at these blues, darker blues. That could be heavy snow developing across the region. And notice the temperatures into the teens. That means you're looking at high snow ratios. Normally, 1 inch of liquid equals 10 inches of snow. In this case, it could be 1 inch of liquid, or 1 inch of what would be rain could be more like 20 to 25 inches of snow. So we're going to have to watch that very closely. This winter storm starts to wind down, I think, by Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon. Low forecasts, watch the numbers drop now from the 30s Friday morning into the teens and single digits as we go throughout the weekend. Some locations could end up below zero, especially if you have heavy snow. Speaking of below zero, there's your wind chill forecast Saturday morning. So once again, dangerous cold. You don't want to be out and about for the weekend. Plan to stay home starting Friday evening all the way Monday afternoon. You most likely will be stuck looking at the notice information. 34 tonight, increasing clouds, scattered showers, 50 scattered showers primarily in the morning on your Wednesday, and then we'll start to dry things out. Your 70 forecast at T3 11 weather impact alert Friday all the way through Sunday. I'm hoping we will climb above freezing by Monday afternoon, but it may take some locations until Tuesday for that to happen.
Well, this week, country music legend Dolly Parton is marking her 80th birthday, and to celebrate, she ordered a special cake from a talented Arkansas baker. Morgan Wrigley from our Northwest Arkansas station shows us the cake of many colors.
Hannah Ryder, owner of Hannah's Cake Co., is well known in Huntsville, Arkansas, and has attracted attention on the internet for her hyper-realistic cakes. But her latest creation was for someone truly iconic.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Isn't that crazy?
Are these like...
They're chocolate.
She says the opportunity came from her friend Jet Mason, who is in Nashville recording a new song with Dolly Parton, and mentioned Hannah's cakes.
He was down there around the time my turkey cake kind of blew up and was kind of talking about me, you know, and that's when they were like, hey, Dolly's birthday's in January, and just it kind of went from there.
That conversation led to weeks of planning and days of baking.
I had a couple of people that are like, the coat of many colors would be so cool, and I was like, that's, you know, her life. It's kind of how she got started. I just kind of had this vision in my head of a coat that was kind of freestanding and was life-size.
Hannah built a coat of many colors cake made from about 20 different cakes, layered and shaped to look like the real thing. Then came the unforgettable moment.
And that is all cake?
It's all cake.
Hannah got to personally deliver the cake to Dolly in Nashville for her 80th birthday.
She is, this legendary icon, and there's some nerves when it comes to meeting someone like that. But as soon as she walked in the room, she had this peace about her. She is definitely just so humble and kind.
Who would have imagined a turkey cake going viral could have led to this?
Never thought in 100 years that, the turkey cake was going to happen, let alone going and making a cake for, the country queen. That is just a once in a lifetime experience.
That's so amazing. And in case you missed it, a new partnership between UAMS and Entergy means newborns at UAMS are automatically signed up for the Dolly Parton Imagination Library program, which provides children with one free book every month until they turn 5. The director of the Arkansas Imagination Library says they deliver 82,000 books a month and hopes to see that number grow even more.
We know that literacy is a social issue that is complex. We know that third grade reading does not start in third grade, right? If you have a student who is failing in third grade, then that's a community issue that we need to address collectively.
The state covers the cost of 50% of Imagination Library books. Baptist Health and CHI St. Vincent also partner with the program.
Kids everywhere play the same way. What they don't always have, though, is this. Every 15 years, the city of McKinney retires their parks and builds new ones. But the old playgrounds don't just get thrown away. They get a second life, rebuilt and shipped to villages across the developing world.
We like to say we build playgrounds for kids who've never seen them.
Matt Clayton started Project Playground about 20 years ago in Bolivia, where he built a playground out of local materials for hundreds of kids, most of whom had never seen one before.
It's kind of like a drug. You want to keep doing it. It's that seeing those kids play on it first time is a high.
Now they regularly take apart used playgrounds from Texas and places like McKinney, the Woodlands, and beyond, refurbishing them and giving them new life.
The average playground in the U.S. is, I think, anywhere from $70,000 to $100,000.
And reusing is essential.
It's extra special for McKinney residents to know that there's a piece of McKinney in places of the world that they don't even know.
Since 2020, the city of McKinney has donated equipment from 8 parks, oftentimes in places with no electricity, roads, or running water.
Kids walk 2 hours to go to school in Africa.
The city staff says donating their old playgrounds is their way of doing what they can, where they can.
I think it's important for us to show good steward of our equipment and knowing that we're providing this opportunity.
And the payoff is huge. Hundreds of children playing, laughing, and learning.
I cry every time. Kids are like, oh, someone cares about me.
Proving that even though play is universal, access isn't.
Love that. I've never thought about what happens to old playground equipment.
Yeah, it's something you don't think about.
Right, yeah. And I love when he said, kids, no matter what language you speak, they all play the same, no matter where they are. That's so true.
Yeah,
kids just play.
Usually playground equipment just kind of rust out for the most part.
Yeah, they're able to
10, 15 years, it's like, oh, that should be painted.
Here in Arkansas, it will be too cold to be out on the playground this weekend. Right now, it's too cold for that.
Yeah, well, right now, it's not too bad.
It's too cold for me to be outside.
50 today, 50 Wednesday, Thursday. But yeah, I am working on a what to expect map for this weekend because the chance of a major winter storm impacting Arkansas has really gone up significantly. And on that what to expect map, I've got a zone of heavy snow potential, and that means 6 inches or more. But like I said, I would not be surprised if some locations end up with over a foot looking at the latest data.
Wow. Okay. So we need to pay attention.
Yeah.
Just keep paying attention.
Yep.
It may change between now and then, but we're going to keep you up to date here on THV 11. Thank you for joining us for Arkansas News Now.